go ba? Ang lakas na ng current yan, men.
North of Manila, adventure awaits. The Philippines isn't really promoted as a country to take road trips in. I beg to differ. With a fairly well-established road network, this is the only way that you'll be able to discover towns that are far away from airports. The beauty of doing it in your own car is that you get to stop in places that are usually overlooked by tours or bus lines. Yeah, this road is very exciting. Giving you access to great food, exciting activities, and beautiful landscapes that you'll only experience if you have the opportunity to stop whenever you want, making the journey north one of the bests you'll ever take. Check 5:30 in the morning. We left the studio at around 5 a.m. This whole series is basically about exploring the north. It's an area that I've been to before, Ifugao, especially I've been to the mountain provinces, but I never really spent much time around Benguet or really just kind of like immerse myself completely in the mountain provinces. So I'm really excited to do this. We're going out for 6 days. We're driving the new Chevrolet. I actually have the old Chevrolet, and this one already feels much different, and we'll talk more about that later. So right now we're heading towards Bulacan, which is an area I know nothing about. We'll see if we can grab some breakfast around there, and if there's anything interesting, and then we'll just kind of keep making our way up. I mean, this is gonna be quite an adventure, and I'm super pumped. Probably doesn't look like it because I'm super tired as well, didn't get much sleep, but as the day goes by, I'm sure we're gonna see some beautiful things, and I'm really excited. This is gonna be a long one. So strap up, put your seatbelts on, and let's go! Ow!
It's not up ahead, it's here and happening, so be ready. Now it begins.
Just a few kilometers north of Manila, Bulacan is a land steeped in history. In fact, it represents one of the 8 rays of sunshine on our country's flag. It was once home to many national heroes, artists, religious artifacts, ancestral houses, and was the birthplace of the first constitutional democracy in Asia, making it a great stop on your way up. Got lost for a bit, but it's not an adventure if you don't get lost. I think we picked the wrong day to come to Bulacan because, first of all, there's a bishop that's visiting, so there's a lot of cars, a lot of police. It was hard to kind of get around. So now we're looking for Gorios and Mimis, which is, they do special Kakanin, and we were trying to find this first street place and we couldn't find it. So now we're kind of like in the middle of nowhere, and we're gonna ask if it's open, and if it's not, then this whole spiel would have been for nothing. Happy news! See, this is a happy smile. They're open. This place was hard to find. You kind of have to walk through this tiny field and then all through these tiny streets, and eventually you see this billowing smoke and coal, and you know that Kakanin is in front of us, and we're about to have some really good ones. They seem to be very busy because I feel like they're preparing for something, so we're not going to get in their face, just see how they do some things, and then hopefully try some treats. derived from the two Tagalog words kain, to eat, and kanin, rice. Kakanin is usually made from a basic mixture of various forms of sticky rice and coconut milk. Both crops being grown in abundance all over the Philippines, anywhere you go in the country, people will have their own ways of making it. The best ones for me are those that are still cooked in traditional ways on wood or on coal fires that gives it that unmistakable, subtle, smoky flavor. I love this old school technique of just turning it around, making sure that the heat kind of spreads evenly on the top. The liquid as it comes out is already half cooked, so what we're trying to do here is just make sure that top part gets nice and crispy, but at the same time she keeps moving it to make sure that it's homogeneous as well. They told me that they were here since 1 in the morning, which is insane, because most of the deliveries are for people who come pick it up around 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, 6 in the morning, so it's a really, really long process. I'm just really excited to taste it. Like, there's so many goodies around it and it looks so tasty, and this, you can't beat the setting. Like, there's a garden here, it's green, everything looks really rustic and authentic. At Gorio and Mimi's in Malolos, they've been doing it right for 30 years. Head here for some bibingka, calamay munggo, sapin-sapin, and anything else they're churning out. Sapin-sapin is probably one of my favorite things in the world, and this one looks so sticky and perfect, and just eating them fresh just changes everything. And I'm actually not really sad that we didn't get the empanada because we found this place. I'm pretty happy about that. I think my favorite though was their version of bibingka. So bibingka is kind of like one of those terms that really, there's just a huge diversity of bibingkas. This one is very kind of like rice forward. So that's the one she's making now. So it's kind of like more ricey, whereas the ones we find in Manila are more kind of like pancakes, right? Still rice as kind of your main ingredient, but here the rice is full. So it's more like a sticky rice. I can't even explain how crunchy that top sugar is. Like, it's super different from everything I've tasted, and it's right at that limit where it's almost burnt, but it's still delicious. Tita Mercy's Empanada de Kaliskis is that little secret you want to keep to yourself. Tita Tess gave us an empanada masterclass, flattening the dough, filling it with her mix of potatoes and chicken, which they source early every morning from the market, to bathing it slowly in a wok of oil. What they didn't share, though, is how their dough is made, and fair enough, this is a 200-year-old recipe that they've mastered through hard work. A closer look to the rusted dough, you will see hundreds of folds within the circle, almost looking like a cinnamon bun had a one-night stand with a millefeuille, a testament to the precision needed to make this seemingly simple snack. I don't think I've ever seen a more beautiful looking empanada. It looks like a clamshell, and you can tell that it's super flaky. There are ridges on it. It just really looks like a seashell to me, like a giant clam. Hello! That sound. This looks more like a pastry croissant than it does an empanada. Look at how flaky that is. That is insane. Soft, buttery, on the sweet side, but for those of you who look for sweet empanadas, this is the one for you. So crunchy. Like, you can tell the dough has layers. Like you would fold a croissant dough a couple times over, so then you get these kind of flaky layers. You get exactly the same thing here. So if you've tried empanada in different places, sometimes it can be kind of like thick and doughy, or like in Ilocos it's very kind of crispy. This is the closest thing I've gotten to like a French pastry, but an empanada. Good stuff. Back in the car, about to take off.
Sir,
Ay!
tikman niyo rin daw po kay Ate Ann.
Okay, salamat, thank you. So I was just about to say we're on our way towards Pampanga to see what we can do there, and they're so sweet. They just gave us, well, I don't know if it's for me or if it's for my wife, but they gave us a whole ton of their empanada. And honestly, guys, if you come to Bulacan, aside from the church and all the stuff that you can see in the heritage and their history that they have here, this stop is 100% has to be on your itinerary. We have so much food. Like, we have so much food. It's insane. 2 stops and we already have empanada and kakanin. Next stop, we're gonna get a whole goat or something. That's why I love this country. Off we go!
We didn't have much time to spend in Pampanga, but if you do have half a day, I highly suggest you take an ATV or 4x4 trip to Mount Pinatubo and stop over some great restaurants along the way. Some of the best food in the country is found here. We just decided to get a quick, literal bird's eye view of the area before continuing on our way up.
Best way to see the province if you only have a few minutes, fly over it.
Best part about this is that the pilots at the Angeles Flying Club will actually let you fly the ultralight, which, if you haven't piloted something in the air before, is an exhilarating experience.
Lipstick on your face, you're dancing on your wedding day.
Currently on T-Plex, or about to get on T-Plex, heading to Baguio. Hi, miss. Bad fault. And we're about 2 hours away. So this kind of episode 1 covers your trip that you would take to go from Manila all the way up to Baguio, obviously. I think we're gonna stop at Baguio because it's already 3:30 p.m. We'll be getting there around 5:40, so instead of driving in the dark in Benguet, we decided to stay overnight in Baguio and see what we can do there in terms of food, maybe stop by the market and buy some supplies for the next part of the trip. This is a 3-part series in partnership with Chevrolet, which is really cool. So there's gonna be lots of adventure coming up in the next episodes. Talking about the car, I mentioned a while ago, I already have the older version of the Trailblazer. This is the Phoenix Trailblazer, 2019 in Summit White. Look-wise, it's really sporty. I love the look of it, but in terms of just feel, because I think that's what most people want to know about, it does feel like it has more power compared to the previous versions.
The 2.8-liter Duramax turbo diesel engine packs 200 horsepower and 500 newton meters of torque, making it the best in class when it comes to power. Something we needed going up all these hills.
The Trailblazer is outperforming my expectations, like really hugging the road. The engine's super quiet in terms of acceleration, and it feels just stable. I'm driving a bit faster than the speed limit, and it is just hugging and gripping to the road, which is what you want when you go up in the mountains. So we're at the market trying to get some coffee. The traffic got a little intense at that point, and I still find it so trippy to see people in jackets. Like, it makes me so happy. I love about this market, it kind of serves as a basket for the Cordillera region and Benguet. So if you go here, you can kind of get an idea of what you'll be able to find if you go up further north into the different provinces and mountain provinces. So you'll find all the produce here, some of the artifacts, some of the crafts that they make, and everything just smells fresh and it's nice and cold, and it just feels like a great experience.
We heard of a relative newcomer in a basement of a small building cooking up some traditional Igorot dishes. We thought that this would be a great introduction to the rest of the food from the area we were about to discover. The Igorot chef did not disappoint.
Currently in the kitchen, and these boys are hustling. Food is flying out of the kitchen, and the smell is just intoxicating. I see some blood sausage, I see some pork, I see some vegetables, and most beautiful of all, fluffy, perfect white rice. so excited. I love that this is our very first meal of the day, because if you think about it, we've only really been having snacks along the way. We calculated it, we got here to Baguio around 6:30, so we've been on the road. Yes, we stopped around. We've been on the road for about 12 hours, so it was quite tiring. Getting into Baguio was quite painful because of the traffic, and it was just very congested. And so now we're sitting down here in front of this beautiful plate of food full of Cordilleran and Igorot specialties. We have pinuneg, which is kind of like a pork blood sausage over here. Then we have the famous pinikpikan, manok, which is chicken. Very popular also in the mountain provinces and Ifugao around this area. Then over here we have the silut sumo, I believe, which looks like chopped up pork belly with some vegetables. All of this just is really fragrant, really quite simple. Some of these dishes I've actually had before. And then this one here, that one is called kiniing, which is basically kind of like smoked meat. I thought it was utag, which I've tried before, but this is something completely different. Finally, what, which is what they serve in big celebrations, large chunks of pork with some rice, and then obviously some beautiful vegetables. So we dig in with our hands. They gave us these cute little bamboo things to start with, but I'm just gonna go ahead because it's basically just me and both of you. So we're gonna start with the pinuneg. If it's a little loud, don't worry too much. So this looks kind of like compact, not much noodles in there, so it's mostly like, I think it's a pork blood sausage. That's fucking delicious. I did not expect that. Like I was expecting more kind of like Chinese blood sausage, but this reminds me more of a French boudin. So it's really kind of deep blood. You got some cloves in there, some spices. You could tell that this would be like a really heartwarming dish when it's cold at night. That's so good. Now we have the pinikpikan. Native chicken makes absolutely all the difference. If you haven't had pinikpikan, it's kind of similar to what the chicken in a tinola would taste like if you take it out of the tinola soup. And that's why we have broth served here that you can actually kind of wash things down with. Beautifully tender, nice and simple. And I think that's kind of like staple of Igorot cuisine. It's all about, you know, you're in the mountains, your resources are limited in terms of what you can cook with. You use the ingredients that are around you. That's why there's a lot of pork. You won't find a lot of beef and a lot of chicken. Next, silut sumo. I said it was pork belly. Now it looks more like to be pork intestines. So again, more pork. But again, very clean. Finally here, this one I'm really excited to try. Kiniing, which is a smoked pork. It looks really tender and kind of like you have that smoke ring that you expect from smoked pork. Damn. That's like in your face, intense, smoky. And then finally, what? So what's kind of like your boiled big chunks of pork. Very simple, plain, but what I love about it is that it's well cooked. Very, very well cooked.
With happy stomachs, we found a little hotel and decided to call it a night, exhausted from the long drive. We loaded up the next day at 4:30 in the morning to start making our way through northern Benguet. Our first stop was Tublay. You can tell that this area could be a great ecotourism destination. They have everything from long hikes to waterfalls, caves, ancient balete trees, and rivers. We came here to experience the Asin-Tuel Hot Springs, where thermal water forms in natural pools along the Tuel River. But unfortunately, due to heavy rainfall, they were closed.
So we're still here in Tublay, and it's just such a gorgeous place. Like, I don't know, people live right here and you have their farms, you kind of have the terraces of vegetables. The guide we were supposed to meet, couldn't contact him, so we kind of just try to figure out what we can do here. They're known for a couple of things like caves, hot springs. The late great Gina Lopez actually set up a community here where they helped out in terms of trying to get tourists here in a very sustainable way. And I think that's really cool because this area is absolutely beautiful. Right now, honestly, we are just a little hungry, so I'm just making a peanut butter and banana sandwich. Simple life, easy. Nowhere to be but here.
We wanted to take some beautiful shots of the interesting rock formations banking the river, and I was making my way upstream when I heard an unusual sound.
I turn around and I hear and I see the drone fall into the water somewhere there. The river is full and that's probably why it's closed, so kind of hidden from view. Don't try this at home, kids. The current seems crazy. So I'm gonna go in and see if we can find our drone, but I feel like it fell in a really deep part of the river.
What's up, man?
There's no way.
Let's go back. Ang lakas na ng current yan, men.
That was episode 1. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. The journey north is not over. We are now going to explore more parts of Benguet and eventually make our way towards the mountain province. So make sure you catch episode 2, which will be coming out really soon. Peace out.
I drove all night, find a diner I could die in. When it finally